Hey,
we are back.
welcome to another episode of Discipline Stoners. We have my friend with us today, a guest, an incredible, multifaceted artist, an amazing performer, just a beautiful soul human being. Y'all got to give it up for Paul,
What
my
up?
man.
What up? What up? What up? Jeez, that's a great intro.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
man. Appreciate
joining us, bro.
And also, my name's Winnie.
And I'm Ellevan, and we're Discipline Stoners. And we're about to blaze up right now. So get your lighters and joints. That's what you're looking around for, right?
Yeah.
A lighter?
I don't have any right now, man. Shit. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just get my lighter and do this.
Yeah.
Blaze up.
I'm gonna just get my lighter and do this right here. This is also partly why I wanted to be there, because I was like, I know y'all got it up. But it's
definitely.
yes.
You know you're always smoking something nice here.
And as soon as the podcast starts, like,
get it.
Everybody,
cheers.
Send that.
Sorry, bro. We're almost torturing you.
We just use this. We utilize our space so much, and it's hard to keep it clean enough.
Gotcha. Because you utilize your house a lot. You're saying,
like, yeah. Like if we have like a studio space for this specifically, it would be like.
How often do you guys find you're cleaning? How often do you clean your house? It's a very basic question, but how often do you clean?
That's a great question. No, you gotta manage that effectively. We both serve different roles in the holistic view of cleanliness. I am the organizer and she is the cleaner. So she will have clean laundry all over the floor. I will
all over the bed.
Clean laundry all over the floor.
But I will have a corner where there's shit and puke, but very neatly just it's a little square of shit. I don't care if it's bacteria, but as long as it's organized out of the way.
Don't kill me.
What about you?
And to actually answer your question too, like I do like probably like a deep clean of different areas of the space like once a week. So like I'll take on the bathroom 1 week, but by the time I get back to the bathroom, like 4 weeks have gone by.
A deep clean once a month. What about you?
Yeah. And they go pretty fast too, man. Time has to go by pretty fast. I'll like clean stuff. Honestly, vacuum every day because my carpet and stuff gets dirty pretty fast. But like you were saying, when you like like if I'm doing something more deep, if I'm doing more of like a deep cleaning, it'll be kind of like probably once a month. But like I'll tend to like vacuum or whatever every couple of days, just to there's just little crumbles on the floor and shit like that.
Totally.
Yeah, but generally,
I definitely know what you mean, but like upkeeping. You got to upkeep almost every day.
Yes.
Like keep it nice.
Yes.
Make sure that there's not garbage around.
Because it is 100%. It's that thing of like when they say like, when you have a clean space, it does affect how your mind works. And I tend to be pretty a little OCD with that, like especially with my workspace. I like shit to be clean, like.
Yeah. I was gonna say one of the things that I love chatting with you about and that we connect as bros and just update and keep up on how we're advancing is like being a freelancer, being an entrepreneur, being this kind of like successful millennial version of an artist that is part of this gig economy. And lots of us work at home, right? So like how does that go for you? Share a little bit of your journey into that and then how you keep your space in alignment so you can work effectively.
Man, fantastic question. I mean, I've definitely been doing the more freelance thing for like 10 years now, over 10 years actually. It's been a hot minute, but I mean, and when you use the word success, I guess I've had successes along the way. Do I feel like I'm at the place of ultimate? Well, I don't even know what that is really. Like, I guess the idea of success in that way has changed for me over time. Before it really did used to be like you have a goal and once you reach that goal you get successful. But what I'm finding now is success to me is just kind of having a good lifestyle, having a lifestyle that's sustainable, that I can replicate every single day. And I'm not going to get burnt out by it or whatever. So, and that comes to my creativity too. Like there are times where like I'm just create, like all I want to do is just sit and honestly, I still do that most of the time, where all I want to do is just sit down and just create some stuff. And I'm blessed to be able to do stuff in 3D. I'm blessed to be able to do stuff in film. I'm blessed to be able to do stuff in writing. I'm blessed to be able to do stuff in teaching even, right? So there's just all these different facets, because creativity for me, I've always known that I'm not just one thing. So when I was performing, and then I don't know, Evan, you see me as a performer. When I was doing that, I always kind of knew in the back of my mind, and it was a stepping stone to something else. It was supposed to be a stepping stone to just the other facets of how I felt on the inside, you know. And performance tends to be a very like, I mean, any kind of creativity is an egotistical thing, but like it just kind of felt like I feel joy when I get to point my camera at somebody else and you get to see how much they shine. You know, there's a kind of joy that I get from making making them look good and
And you
making them
can
feel good.
you can feel it. You can
Yeah.
feel it. Not only have I shot with you, but I've seen you shoot, and I see the way that you used to capture R.I.S.E. So we used to,
Right.
me and Paul met at a beautiful community in Toronto called R.I.S E, Reaching Intelligence Souls Everywhere.
Bam, bam.
And you know, yeah, balloon.
Bam, bam, bam. There you
And
go.
yeah, shout out, fuck yeah. And you know, you kind of skipped over, and we're very humble about the performance aspect, but Ohm is a shining star, fucking beacon of like theater from the heart. But it's like this monologue from, maybe you could share a bit. I don't want to mansplain your
For
character, but like
sure. Yeah.
I just want to say, as a audience member, not only as another artist that's there for bars, and did you immediately like win my love and affection the first time I seen you,
Yeah.
and like made me a fan instantly, but you're channeling something from another dimension. These
Right.
monologues fall in line with these kind of gurus I read and listen to. Tell us a little bit about this performance thing that you do, this Ohm
Honestly,
character.
the Ohm character came from the kid in me that just wanted to speak out. That's really what it was. Because when I was young, I was the youngest kid. So like a lot of people, you know, being the youngest, they always see you as a person that they need to teach, as opposed to the person that has all this knowledge, right? But so I was always in a position of observing. I'm amazing at observing. But I think my life put me in that place, rightfully so, to just shut the fuck up for a couple of years, just observe the world around you, type of thing, right? So I think being able to do that when I was younger, and then growing up, just kind of started to bubble inside of me as this personality that just wanted to not be shy. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be just Paul, because it felt like I was a little bit more than that. It felt like I had something more to say. And
It's like you're almost like you're Slim Shady, like,
pretty much, yeah.
but these concepts, the things that you'd say were from. I listen to this channel called Abraham Hicks, and
Right,
they'll put life in a way, in a perspective that's just like zaps the human one-sidedness out of your identity. And
right,
shit that bars that you were busting in this character was just like like glass ceiling, like take responsibility for your own fucking thoughts. Like it's crazy.
yeah. It was definitely very like it was a chance for me to kind of be liberated from all my own personal barriers, mental barriers that I put on myself. And whenever I was writing stuff, it was literally like what you said, Ellevan. Like it did feel a lot of times like it wasn't Paul that was saying these things, because Paul doesn't walk around saying shit like this, really and truly. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
Paul's very shy. I like to keep to myself. I like to, if I have an idea or opinion on something, I will most likely not say it. But it was almost like Ohm was that. Oh, to me, it felt like Ohm was the man where Paul was the boy. That's kind of what it felt like.
And
It was
then,
like Ohm was the. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, because I don't know how much you're performing that character anymore, but I was gonna ask you if, as you evolved as Paul, did Ohm begin to
Mm.
dissipate or disintegrate a little bit?
Great question. They kind of start to merge into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started to merge into each other because I think what Alm was just trying to teach me is just to be more confident, just to be more confident in what I was saying and scream that shit, even if people, if people don't like understand it. Because sometimes when I'll perform things, I would literally see the look on people's faces and I would know that they don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Right? I could just see it in their eyes. It was always that moment. I'm like, yep, you are so lost right now. And I get it.
Their self-awareness, not every, so that was, I mean, I'm an MC, so I always go for the person saying like the most advanced thing. I'm looking for the most advanced thing. And that's why you just like shout it at me in terms of like this performance you'd put on it was like a North Star for every other artist there that was performing that night, myself included. It was like, if you can say something that hits people who are listening in the heart like that, like you were so God source energy honest in that. And I admired that. And also a part of it is the more I got to know you as a person, Paul, I realized how polite and nice you are. And I'm not. I'm more like Ohm in person. And when I perform, I try and be cool. I switch it up. But
that's so true.
And I love that about you. And but the reason why I extra loved you was because I know how difficult that can be to switch the flip on the confidence, because this sweet one here is currently going through an incredible throat chakra evolution. Me myself, I'm learning how to chill back on my throat chakra so we're kind of balance each other out. But the fact that you aren't always like that, and that you let that come, that's what I was like, that's coming from like a multi-dimensional.
I mean, sometimes it literally felt like there were, I don't know, you guys probably feel this too. There's things inside of you that you just feel like it's just bubbling in you, but like you just maybe don't know how to say it properly. So you just deal with it on the inside. You just kind of leave it in you. But over time, that stuff bubbles and it just keeps developing, it keeps growing and stuff. So like, it just kind of felt like, and honestly, I can't even, it's sometimes when I come off stage, and I know anyone that's a performer can probably attest this too. When you come off stage and you look back and you're like, yo, what the fuck just happened?
Yes. We were just talking about this yesterday.
You
what
lose
the
yourself.
Hell was that?
you that's why that song "Lose Yourself" is actually so accurate, because
it's so bad.
You start, it's like you let this other being inhabit your body and you're a superhero. That's why you get addicted to it. That's why so many successful artists who blow up probably just hit drugs so hard, because when you're not in front of 10,000 people or whatever in that moment, you're like, oh, I need some fucking heroin.
Yeah, yo, and you know what? This is actually something I wanted to speak to you guys about too. So, because in my performance journey, one of the things I started to see was, after a while, you do start to see that people see you as, in a sense, they start to think that you know more than they do. Yeah. Not realizing that and this comes with celebrity too, where they think because you're in front of them, and the thing goes back to that school teacher kind of mentality that we all were taught, where it's like, if this person's in front of you and they're saying stuff, now you automatically put them on some kind of pedestal, almost like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyone that has the courage enough to go in front of a bunch of people, you have more courage than most of the population. That's just because most people were never even going to think of going in front of a couple of people and saying things. But now you're going in front of an Ellevan, which is why and I think confidence comes in different shapes and sizes, you know what I mean? Because like, I can be confident and do what I do, but then to be confident and go busking, go in front of like just people that are just going to walk by you and sometimes not give a fuck about what you're saying. I think that's a whole nother level of like confidence in yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, and then to come up with it on the spot is like, I'm a writer. Like, I'll write from here to forever, but to stand there and freestyle things while people are looking at me, expecting me to connect things, nah, man, that's just crazy.
It's so crazy.
Bless you, bro.
And he won't let people walk by. That's the thing. Is like, if someone tries to walk by without noticing, he'll at least talk about it so the people who are noticing notice that these like people are just like walking by and letting this show go.
Bro,
like it's nuts.
You
it's
just became
so next
food.
level.
You try to ignore me, you're next up. Bro, I run this moment.
That's a ballsy thing. That's a very
you know where thank you so much for saying. I appreciate you. Love that. Respect our mutual art so much. Grateful that we exist on different parts of the spectrum and are both admiring different spaces. But that honestly, man, that comes from like just bottom mentality. Like just like taking your swing because you don't have any other choice. Like, what are you gonna do right now? Like getting frustrated with the circumstances that I was in, because you've seen me from R.I.S.E days to starting to get little gigs to do my little CD releases and those parties and getting local gigs and stuff. And you see like really talented cats like stagnantly just there. And I was like, fuck that. Like I just made it to the top of what?
Right.
Of I got to meet Ohm and I got to meet Randall and I got to meet Christian Bridges and okay, but I got a bunch of friends. I need a career. And I'm grateful. It's like I realized that the love that I got and what I understand now was I come back to my roots and glow up and blow up with my peeps to create with, you know, from the perspective of already having what I want, like not trying to reach a goal, but rather grow and create from the heart. But I had this very fed up with it all attitude. I was like, fuck showing up to bars for sound check. Fuck that. Like I had chased this other thing so hard and apparently did a pretty good job, but still living to paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah.
If that in art. So it was like, bro, I'm out here for a reason. And that's for me to like spread and connect this thing. And so I felt like I had a mission and that was just my sword. That was like the only thing I could like really make an impact with, because everything I had done, that was what would get the response. And I learned that in R.I.S.E. I learned a lot trying to do songs or during that time period of my life, you know, 2012 to like 2015, 16. I was just like trying my written material and stuff. And, you know, my recorded songs, if they didn't have a band, I wasn't getting the Ohm response, homie.
Right.
People would like it, but it was when I started doing the freestyle thing mostly that I would get the Ohm, you know what I mean?
That was the pocket, because again, it was so mind-boggling. I think that's what it was. It was how is he doing this? That's really what it felt like. It literally felt like, how is he doing this? It was, I know Jay-Z was like, he never wrote any of his songs really. He just kind of, but that kind of stuff that shit is very hard to do. I try and, that shit is hard to do. But Winnie, I actually wanted to ask you too. Sorry, Ellevan, finish what you were saying.
I was just gonna say, in the same way that you kind of deflect responsibility for it, I'm gonna do the same in the way where I don't look at it. Yes, I've taught myself the vocabulary of these things because I'm a little bit on the autistic scale and I'm just obsessed with words like that. But it's definitely a God source, like something else. Like I can't take full responsibility for it. It's our ability to like open up the channel and like let that become us, because there's just rapping at people. And I've seen other rapping buskers do it, but they didn't clean up like I did. And the reason why people wanted to give me money was because I was listening to them in the way that Paul would observe people. I also, I mean, I've always been an extrovert for sure, but I also love to deeply listen to like what someone may need in that moment. So it may be a compliment. It may be a piece of comedy. It may be something. It might be just the relevancy and reminder that we're all human and we're here together. Like someone looks like suicidal. You know what I mean? Like just observing and using your intuitive nature to channel. I was going to say, I wanted to share that. But please hit Winnie with the...
No, because I know, Winnie, you perform too, right? Like you act as well, right? So like what's that like for you? Like where do you usually tap into when you
I think I'm
when
a
you go on your
pretty,
zone and stuff?
yeah, I'm a pretty skilled actor, and I like to be in control. Oh, did we freeze?
You good?
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
we did
cool.
for a second. Yeah, you were saying. Yeah, now you're.
And I like to be in control, so I have less of these God moments that you both are talking about. I think, like, just less in general, because I can get away with using my skill. But I will say that, like, I was in musical theater school and we talked about this yesterday. The first song that I performed, or the last song that I performed, it was a jazz song called Blues in the Night. And it was the first time that I like had let flow, universe, God flow through me. And I had that experience of walking off stage being like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
Yeah.
I've totally blacked out. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm watching. I'm listening to Winnie.
No, it's okay.
You totally blacked out. Yeah.
I totally blacked out, but it was the best performance that I think I've ever done in musical theater, like to this day.
Wow.
And I get that. I started doing a ritual before auditions. Like,
do you find yourself sometimes wanting to replicate that?
Oh yeah.
Or do you just allow it to just kind of, yeah.
No, I had to let go of trying to replicate it, because that's not how it works.
Got it. Right.
But like, I've adopted a practice when I go into auditions in person to like sit with myself and say some type of mantra, like I completely let go, like I invite the universe or source in to take over. Right. While I'm in there, like I'm open to that. So, and that's worked a handful of times. And I've gotten jobs on auditions that I've done that with. So, not saying that that's what did it, but you know,
it helps.
Yeah, it helps for sure.
It helps because all these things put your mind in a certain state, anyways, right? That's ultimately what the purpose of it is. I mean, like,
and I mean, being creative too, like we're attached to outcomes because we are trying to make a living at this.
Yeah.
So there's a really fine balance of like not being too hard on yourself if something goes wrong, but also being like, okay, how do I learn from this? Because like, if I'm not gonna make money from this, I gotta figure something else out.
Right. Yeah. And that was one of the things, even with performance, because I found that performance for me was a therapeutic thing. And I didn't want to base my living off of it. Nice. You know, I wanted to be able to do it when it felt right and when it felt natural. I didn't want to force performances because I need to make rent or whatever. I didn't want it to become robotic, you know, because that wasn't the whole idea of Ohm was that I can come into a space and honestly, sometimes even if I have a script played out, if I come into a space and the space doesn't, and I feel that in a space, the space isn't fully, this work isn't for the space, you know, like then midway, I can kind of go into other things. And then, but it's that willingness of being like, okay, I'm willing to let go of what I thought this was, what I thought was supposed to happen here.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do what is necessary.
Being adaptable, man.
Yeah.
And being light on your toes, being able to improvise. Like, truly, it is those who inherit the earth are those who are the ones who can adapt.
110%.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that same experience when like guiding meditations. Like I'll always write a meditation like based on who I'm leading, what the group is, like what their intentions are, stuff like that. But if you get to the day and you walk in there and you're like, this is not the vibe. Like, I felt like comfortable pivoting. I'm more comfortable in that space, pivoting and letting go, than in acting right now.
Right.
So, how long would it take you to write an average Ohm piece, or would it fluctuate so much that there's no way to track it?
Yeah, it fluctuates, but generally I'll write stuff in like 10 minutes or something. Because again, it will come as like, maybe I see something and it triggers a feeling. And then I just know the writing process for me, honestly, just tends to come pretty easily. Like
You're open.
Yeah, it will just kind of come when it does. And a lot of times I find too, when I start writing, then you discover the piece as you write it, right? Like you might not know what the fuck's gonna happen really. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna ask?
No, not at all. Please continue.
Yeah, no, you might not really know where it's gonna go, but yeah, I would say it generally fluctuates. I think what takes longer sometimes is memorizing it, because some of these things are they tend to be long sometimes.
Well, that's the feminine and masculine energy, right? So you're in the creative harmony and you're receiving and flowing with and putting out. And then the masculine job, the balance is to like cognitively reshape and program yourself to do this and sharpen it up. So we got the clay, the infinite creative material, and channeled it into it ish. And then we got to like really refine how it's going to come across to other people, because this is the art of communication, and art and creativity is feminine in energy.
Indeed.
So that's why
what's crazy about that. I want to say one thing on that, because like sometimes I'll purposefully not fully memorize it, because it allows me on the day for spontaneity. Like it allows moments where I don't know what I'm doing, and then I can kind of figure it out. Like, and that's always also interesting for the audience to watch, not just me. Like it's also interesting as long as you're like someone like, I think that is one of the things over the years that I've found has set performers apart. It's not necessarily what you're saying, sometimes it's how you're saying it. And if you can make the audience, I guess, like suspend disbelief. And the only way to do that is if you have utmost confidence, even when you know you messed up. Even when you know you messed up, a lot of people will just stop. You've seen this in Ellevan, in R.I.S.E, a lot of times. Ellevan, like a lot of people will just don't mess up, they'll forget their line, and then they'll stop. And I'm like, no, that's the moment right there where you gotta like keep it going. You know,
keep it going,
because we're also going to trust you, like as an audience, we're going to trust you too. Like it's a relationship that we're building here, and if we see that, oh, this person isn't trustworthy, we're probably going to come off this train.
Totally. It's 100% confidence with you right off the top. Just to give people a little small context insight, for instance, Ohm has started, so in the Burroughs Hall Community Center, it's like inside you can kind of fit like between 100 200 people if it's like packed. And we'd get between 50, 80, sometimes 20, like people at these shows on Monday night. And he started his performance that was lit from the inside. The lighting kicked in on the inside. He was outside in winter with no shirt and no shoes or socks on, covered in, is it traditional? Is it African paint?
That's crazy.
There's a paint you use, which is fucking so visually like engaging and exciting, and it informs you on this. From a filmmaker, it informs me of the perspective of the character, how you present yourself visually. But he started outside with like a fighting stick. And he with a staff, and he caught, and the music starts and the lighting starts inside, and you're inside as an audience watching the performer outside, and he's fucking with you, and then runs on the inside, and the entrance was like so hugely anticipated and so wonderfully delivered with like a boom crash and a roaring voice that these are I'll call them the casual theatrics of something you would cook up. And when that choreography, when all that comes together, are you doing that in the moment, or are you?
Yeah, a lot of it is, it's kind of in the moment. A lot of it is like, yes, I'll figure out like I said, I'll always have a skeleton of what could possibly happen. Right. So when I'm doing a piece, for example, like that piece, for example, holy shit, actually, So with that piece, I knew like the logistics of it was I'm not going to be able to hear what's happening I can't hear the song, right? So it has to be a song that's fluid enough that my movements can match it regardless of where it is. So I generally know in my head that like, all right, maybe 5 minutes in, then I should probably start moving in, you know what I mean? But like how I get there and the process of getting there, I can kind of figure that out while it's happening. and that stuff scares me, and which is why I know it's like, okay, this is probably the direction I should be going. Yeah, it
works.
Terrifies me, and sometimes some of the reactions people see are like genuine reactions that I'm having, but I just have to have those reactions in character. Like I have to have that reaction. How the reaction isn't bad. It just has to be how this character will have that reaction. So if the character forgets its line, then how would this character react to forgetting some shit? You know what I mean? So then, but that keeps the audience in there where, okay, he's not forgetting his line and then just sitting there and doing nothing. He's still in character. He's still going type of thing.
Move with it, bro. That's where I start my show.
Yes.
I can't remember what performance it was, but I think it's a famous clip. I'm pretty sure it's Liza Minnelli who's doing this like insane dance number in like Times Square or some shit. And there's what's it? Captioning. There's captioning
Closed
for
captioning,
everything that she's singing, and then for like 16 bars, she just fucking goes da 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 da, like she forgot all of the words, and she just like riffed and made up words, and like it was completely nonsensical. But if you weren't reading the closed captioning, you'd be like, yeah, I'm sure that was something.
That's part of it.
You wouldn't have given it a second. You would have been like, that was kind of weird, but like it probably makes sense.
Right.
Because she was so committed to it. She was so committed to the fuck up, and she got back on track. And it was truly flawless. Like it was gorgeous.
Facts. And that's again why I really appreciate freestyling that Ellevan does. There's literally potential to fuck up at every corner in a situation like that.
There is
literally,
and you should.
There's landmines everywhere in there.
You should push yourself to fuck up and then fix it.
Yes. That's what makes it interesting to watch. That's what makes it like, oh, this person's going through a journey too, so I'm gonna go on that with them.
And honestly, that's more important than ever now. Like we have to re-embrace making mistakes and being wrong and failing, and like I've been reignited recently on writing stand-up, and I'm really excited to perform it when we can.
Winnie stand-up. Whoa, that's hard. So tell me more about this. Like,
she's done stand-up in New York. She's done stand-up here. She brought like mad fans to clubs where comics just usually perform for each other.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I honestly have only done stand-up like 10 times, maybe 15 times. And I was so insecure, and there's a whole story behind that of why I didn't continue. But I feel like this whole year has been like a real big buildup of like, what do you want to do? Just like slowly massaging out what you really want to do, how you really.
No, I got it.
How you really want to like show up in the world, like what are your priorities, and where do you want to place your energy? But I think for the first time, I'm actually excited to bomb. Like that was always so scary for me. That was such a scare. Like, oh my God, what if they don't like me? Like that does not. Old Winnie doesn't like that at all. Like she runs away from that shit. But now I'm like, how fun will it be to feel like embarrassed and humiliated in front of strangers? That sounds like fun to me for the first time.
And then be able to bounce back from it too. Like I think there's a certain level of feeling where you're like, yo, my back was against the wall and I was able to somehow spin this around in some way that I didn't even know it was going to go this way. I didn't even know it was going to happen like this. But like feel that I only, and I mean, stand-up is a very tough one because I know like, I mean, stand-up is a very, very tough one. I have so much respect for stand-up comics.
I think I've always liked it. Like every time I get off stage, it's that same thing where I'm like, I'm so glad that I did that. That was so much fun. With the exceptions of the times that I bombed.
But they'll stay there as motivation though.
Yeah, but it definitely it feels like almost like a hobby. So I'm really not putting any expectation on it. It's kind of it feels similar to this podcast actually, where I'm just I just want to enjoy the work.
Which is good.
Yeah.
We prioritize that so much. Like just like like having to like feel right about anything and everything, and just like having that great level of not trying to focus so hard on the result and just like really enjoying it for what it is and along the ride. And truth be told, that's a lot of where the magic happens, apparently. And for my own experiences, it's been the things that I just enjoy. Like going the freestyle route was the easiest thing for me the whole time. I was like, oh, I should just like do this instead of like hiding behind these rules of, bizarre self-implicated oppression. like
what kind of rules were you putting on it?
Well, in order to get a look from a gatekeeper, like a label or management or something like that you'd have to present a product like were you at my first album release? If not that night, you were around when I released that first CD with like me on the cover like that.
Yeah.
And like during then I was going through this self-branding idealization, realization of this like product. Discipline.
Stoners! We get high. And we do stuff.
But yeah, we were saying, I think you were saying something, Ellevan.
Well, do you remember what you were saying?
Not really.
Okay, so
Yep.
I wanted to actually ask a question a long time ago, but you guys were riffing back and forth real good, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh,
but
one second, I can't.
Hello.
Okay, I think we're good now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was wondering, with your writing specifically, do you have any like structured behavior around your writing? Like, will you sit down to write even if you don't feel that inspiration and just like start trying?
Yeah, I have done that quite a bit, but it honestly tends to be a mix. I do find that there is something to be found in forcing yourself to sit down. And there is something to be found with not forcing yourself to sit down and just kind of allowing it to unfold. But I think every writer has their own balance that they kind of got to figure out. But mine has just been mainly, I feel like I'm always writing in my head, even now, honestly. I don't really talk about this that much, but I mean, just looking at you two right now, I'm writing, for example, a novel. Well, it's not really a novel anymore. It started off as a novel, but now it's becoming more of like a graphic animation type of thing that I'm doing. But the story is centered around love and it's centered around a couple, right? It's centered around a number of couples, actually. So literally, even when I'm seeing you guys, I'm kind of writing things in my head.
We're always collecting.
We're always collecting. I'm seeing things based on your mannerisms with each other, and I'm just kind of taking those things in for potential characters. So I do feel like I'm always writing in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
And what type of benefits would you say you get from like the forcing yourself to sit down as opposed to when it's inspired?
Passive inspired action. For me, it's 100% inspired action. But when you sit down and write, what do you get out of it?
It's just discipline, really.
Yeah.
It really is just discipline. I think whenever I do it, I verify to myself that I am taking this seriously. Like I'm verifying that to me. That this is serious. Yeah.
Discipline stoners, baby.
That would be the biggest thing. Yeah. It's just this. And honestly, again, thanks for saying the stoners thing, because a lot of times when I'm high, that's the first thing I want to do is just write, because I almost can't even help it. Like my brain just goes. It just shows different dimensions, different worlds, different places, different things. And this is actually a conversation I wanted us to have too, is how cannabis has impacted your creativity.
Yes. Yeah. I love this part of the conversation. It's so great to get into flow state with it, isn't it? It puts you into a place where you're like infinite.
And For me, like what cannabis did is it changed my perception of like failing or looking stupid, because I'd say like stupid shit when I'm high. Like when I was first getting high,
but it's funny,
and I'd say stupid shit and it'd be hilarious instead of like this like shame spiral that I would like normally go into had I not, you know? So I think for me, cannabis has really like freed me from myself in a lot of ways.
And what parts of yourself do you feel like you've developed any like alter egos since you started using cannabis too, like internal, like any new mental thought patterns that you can say, okay, that was very different. I didn't have that before I started using cannabis.
Yeah, for sure. I think my biggest thing is that I can have a conversation with my ego, and like we can talk through some pain that like my ego's trying to react to, and my other body is like, hey, like I hear you, I see you, but you actually like you're not needed right now. Like we're not in danger actually. So like chill the fuck out, and then I can get back to, you know, being present in the moment. Because like fuck, there's so much shit that's triggering, and like right now especially too, like with loved ones and people closest to us, we're learning things about people that make us uncomfortable because we didn't know it about them prior. And
like for instance, how some people live their life in fear, or
yeah, like I think some people to be topical, if we're talking about COVID, like some people are like, wow, I have family members that are like completely anti-vax. I didn't know that prior to this. Like that's a little bit like shocking.
New information.
Yeah. And so
these past couple of years have been very revealing.
So like your ego, like for me, as an example, in that moment, my ego might be like, no, you are wrong. Like, I don't like this part of you because it's making me feel uncomfortable. But then like that other like spiritual source body can be like, yo, like come back here into this present moment. Like what is your focus? Because it doesn't have to be shaming someone else, and it can still be fully confident in your decisions that you're making based on your needs and your lifestyle, you know?
Wow. Wow. So you feel like it's given you an opportunity. Sorry, go ahead, Ellevan.
No, you go.
You feel like it's given you kind of like a way to be more
compassionate,
to not get carried away by yourself. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
to not get carried away by your inners.
It's always another layer of like, this is how I'm feeling. I don't actually know how anyone else is feeling, so I can't fill that piece of the puzzle, and that's okay. I don't need to fill that piece. Like I can only control what's happening on in here, and so if I can get on top of that and soothe the pain that my ego is currently feeling because it's being defensive, because it thinks it's right, and sort of soothe and find some relief as that's happening, like that's like the biggest gift I've been given.
Facts.
Bars. Wow, that's bars. So that was, we talk about like preparing the mental state personally with cannabis. I love you started talking about it a little bit when you started to return to projects, or maybe as you got into animation and take your performance and go more inward. Did cannabis play a role with focusing more finitely?
Oh yeah. I almost feel like honestly cannabis has played a role in many areas of my life, to be honest. And you know, it's been this thing too of finding a healthy balance with it, like getting a good relationship with it where it doesn't feel like I'm necessarily hurting my body. Because I think one of the things with cannabis sometimes is that, you know, for me, I realize that I'm very sensitive to it. So it's just understanding that I don't need a lot to get to where I need to get to.
Beautiful.
Right? Like, beautiful. Yeah, but you know, I love being if I could, I'd be there all day long.
Hey, you ever do a gig with a homie for a cooking show and have some edibles?
Yeah, exactly. So
I got Paul on this gig that I was shooting for this THC cooking show, and he made these like he put like an ounce of weed in these cups,
these
Dragon
discs of
butters, and made steak and beautiful vegetables, but put about like way too much, like way too much, like and Paul was like, oh, can I eat this? And we all took like a little bit because we knew it was edibles, but he had been shooting. I think you were second shooter on that, like meaning you were getting in, like there's a master wide shot, and you were like the first on deck to like get into the close things. So you were so focused. I don't even know if you were paying attention to what has just happened in front of you, because you were all doing your depth of field focus and getting in. And Buddy eats a big scoop.
No, I ate a bunch of those, man. Like I downed a bunch because it tasted so good too. At the same time, I was like, "Oh, this tastes so good."
You're actually, that's in the Rolodex of times where Ellevan's gotten people too fucking high.
You
gotta warn people, bro. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. But I had a whole internal spiritual experience with that staircase for like 6 hours, man. 6-7 hours. And every floor, bro. Like I honestly felt bad for whoever probably had to clean that up afterwards. That was really, but there was no way I could go outside and do this. Like I can't even tell you the space that I was in. That shit was
okay. So check this out. I had about of my finger, half my baby fingernail, I had on a piece of steak.
Yeah.
And like it was like all over. You had the remains of a half cup of butter with pure high grade concentrate cannabis in it, about the pucker size of your palm. Inside of your palm.
That's definitely what that felt like.
So I had this baby fingernail of it, and I went home and pretty much fell asleep. Like I was so high, I was like maxed out. Like I was like, okay, which is usually approximately 50 milligrams for me on the illicit market, about 30 milligrams for me on the legal market. Right. To give people some context of what you possibly put into your body. Yeah. But you say that there was some spirituality you were going through, some connection, so you were able to let go?
Yeah, I always try and see situations, but I also think that's just a relationship I've built with my ego, is that I always try and see every situation as a learning opportunity. It makes it easier for me to get through it. It makes it, you know what I mean? Like
because you become curious. You stop being like why. You stop being like why and start being
why is
like,
this happening to me?
Oh, okay, let's feel this for a little while.
Right. Let's just see what this feels like. So I mean, in that time, all I can think about was just getting all this stuff out of my body, really. But I think that also showed me that I don't even know if you could OD on cannabis, because that would have definitely been
zero deaths.
That could definitely be a situation, because it was close to that. There were moments where I was like, yep, this is probably it. They're going to find me in the stairwell.
When he had that moment in Miami.
I got
edibles
that
too.
I went to bed that night and I was like, well, this is it. Like but I was so at peace with it, because you're just so high. You're like, and I was like, seriously, I was being legit. I was like, if I don't wake up, like I'll go see my mom in her dreams and like let her know everything's okay. Like I totally was like so fucking high.
She came to terms.
Isn't it interesting? Don't you find? I think this is true. So maybe tell me if you don't feel the same way, but it always seems like friendships are strengthened after you see each other get really fucked up.
Oh yeah, man. For sure. You got to be there for each other in that moment. Like that's one of those things. It is definitely a bonding moment for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if like one of you fucks off, it's still like you guys got fucked up together.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I mean, on my, I've had a lot of shroom experiences too, and like even with that too, a lot of times when I'm having my experiences with my friends or whatever, a lot of us will just go on our own and do our own thing for a couple of hours, and then come back a couple of hours later and just look at each other like, yeah.
Yeah.
No words necessary. You got what you got. I got what I got.
Yeah.
We can talk about it afterwards. But it's just always that thing of I don't know, feeling like you went on some kind of journey. Psychedelics, and just I guess I would put cannabis in that, because cannabis feels like a psychedelic to me personally sometimes.
Yeah.
Although I'm not like visually seeing things, it's just the way it makes me feel inside. It's like, whoa.
It has psychoactive components in the way that it reveals the universe to you in the truth that everything is connected. So you realize the interchangeable meaning of things, and gain a perspective on whatever kind of scope you're going through. And mushrooms give you like a really heightened, intense, close connection to God. And it's no coincidence that like fungi is kind of the oldest creature ever living. It's kind of like an imprint of the cosmos, of quantum space, of moldable anything. It's mold. And you're literally getting nature and being connected to that. You're reminded almost. I like to call it you remember.
You remember. Yeah. What are you saying, Winnie?
Well, it's a little bit off topic, but what he just said sort of bridged into a segment that we have on the podcast called Fun Facts.
Yeah, for sure.
But what we do in a fun fact is we generally improv the intro to fun fact. So something like fun fact, fun fact, fun fact, fun fact, fun fact, fun fact with Winnie Clark.
So
do you want to do that?
Yeah. Do you want to do one?
Okay, great.
Yeah, for sure. So all I have to do is just freestyle the melody for it or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. However you want to intro the fun fact segment.
Okay. All right. Cool. Count me in.
Get it. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ding 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 ding. Fun fact. Okay, that was really bad. Let's go back. Let's go back.
That was lit.
I think that was
that
perfect.
Wasn't. Don't lie to me. No, it wasn't.
I like it.
Come on, guys.
Okay, do another one.
I like it.
All right, if we're gonna leave it at that, then we'll leave it at that. We'll save it if it was on just to respect it, because we were saying that earlier too. Fuck ups are okay as well.
Yeah, so exactly. Okay.
All right, cool. We'll leave it at that.
That's good. That's good theme. Okay. So you just said something about fungi, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Today's fun fact, everybody. Foot cheese is an actual thing. If anyone's ever told you that your feet smell like stinky cheese, rattle off this piece of trivia. It's totally possible to make actual cheese with bacteria from foot sweat. In fact, Ireland held a foot cheese exhibition in 2013 that featured several varieties of foot cheese, as well as varieties that evolved from belly buttons and armpits.
Hell no. The two creases where you just don't, they make cheese out of that.
These people don't have enough problems if they're doing things like this.
Now, let me ask you this. Somebody gives you $1 million to eat that, would you?
Yes, absolutely. In a heartbeat. Come on, $1 million for some foot cheese? I mean,
for the whole, you gotta eat like the whole slab though, not like a small amount. You have to down.
I'll do it.
Don't say slab.
I'll do it. I volunteer as tribute.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
I'll be $1 million richer.
But you might have. I mean, so no. Has anyone died from eating foot cheese?
Well, they didn't. They didn't taste it, so they just created the cheese. But no one has actually at this Ireland exhibition.
As soon as you smell that fucking dense smell of filth from humans, you will immediately pay $1 million to not.
Evan
to not have to do that.
Evan will tell you that I've dabbled in some pretty stinky cheeses before.
She's Dutch. She's Dutch. So she'll have like the blue cheese, just the blue cheese, where I'm a little softer. I'm Italian, so I gotta have like a nice, little something.
Would you do it for $1 million?
Yeah, saddle up. Yeah, bring it on.
Wow. That's amazing.
A million isn't taxed,
Not
right?
do
This
it
is
for a million? No, it's straight milli.
straight milli, no tax. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll do it.
Wouldn't do it.
No.
I would be so mad at you
For
for so
cheese.
long. If we could both be millionaires, but I'm only giving you 100K then.
Fine.
And he said no to some foot cheese. So wait, can you put the foot cheese can you like mix it with something else?
Oh yeah. Oh really?
Yeah, I think you can grind it up in a smoothie and chug it back.
Oh.
Okay, no, it's okay. Let's just, we can, that's okay.
No, I'd do it. I'd do it.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah, we always do fun facts. Often Ellevan will read something from a book, or we'll get our guests to, if they have a book in their place.
Yeah, so usually I'll just read, like the mindful books that I read and stuff that I talk about.
Yeah.
I'll just like grab one of those like Tao Te Ching and do one. So if you have any books of wisdom, like this type of thing, we do this thing where I ask Winnie to think of a number and you turn to that page and read that page for everyone and we interpret the knowledge from it.
I don't even have any of my books out right now, so it's probably gonna have to be one of your books.
Okay.
I haven't been reading a lot of books lately, to be honest with you.
I'll just text it to you.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'll take a picture of it and you can read it if you're down. But now, or I can just read it.
I think you should just read it. Yeah, that's probably the better idea.
I thought he was joking for a second, and then I was like, "Oh, he's serious."
I wasn't sure. If I was like, "Is he serious?"
I don't care. Reality isn't real.
It's probably better. Oh man, you're just flaunting that split in my face.
Bro, you would love this yerba mate cone. It's gas, bro. It's gas.
Yeah.
Honestly, we got this yesterday, and every time he smokes it, he just says, "This gas."
Yeah.
This is fucking...
Do you guys imagine yourself still being 60, 70 and still using cannabis?
Probably. I told myself that I was going to slow down, but
right. At a certain age,
I think we'll probably go through a phase where we don't smoke as much or use as much.
Edibles, like maybe.
But like when we're back at 60,
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. It's probably more so we'll see how being responsible parents coexists with being high all the time.
Right.
We'll just see. That's what I'm gonna do. It's like priority, be good dad. That'd be priority, and then next would be like enjoy your stoner life. Like,
gotcha.
So, but if I can do the both simultaneously, I don't see a reason to slow down.
Why not? This is a random question, but would you put a chip in your brain if it was to make you smarter? So right now, Elon Musk has Neuralink. So if Elon Musk came to you and was like, "Yo, this link right here is essentially the next step in human evolution." Because that's kind of what he's promoting it as right now.
Because just be forthcoming about what the intention is instead of trying to sneak any chips, which I think is just funny. Anyway.
Well, I don't even know. He's not even trying to sneak anything, but I just
try to have these
conversations. Because I almost feel like in a couple of years, this is probably going to be the norm, where it's like, because some people right now have chips in their brain, but it's kind of like, but the way I don't know if you guys know anything about Neuralink at all.
No, I don't.
So Neuralink is the thing that Elon Musk started years ago, and it was supposed to be something to help people that had problems with their limbs, right? So if you couldn't move your limbs, he'll implant this thing in your brain, and it'll essentially be able to give you mobility in some places.
Re-spark the neural pathways that send those triggers.
Essentially, but it's also supposed to be something. I think, and I might be butchering this, and I hope I'm not, but I think one of the things he was actually trying to do as well was, in a sense, make people smarter, right? So what you would usually go to Google for, you can just ask yourself a question, and the answer would come up in your brain. kind of like your brain was one big Google search.
Well, it makes sense from an evolutionary scale if you think about what we've done with information and communications by shrinking it down and bringing it closer into us. And it's just this time around, these manifested humans are building from a third dimensional point, meaning physical, less channeling energy and physically building it in and having those literal manifested chips versions of connecting to a semi-tangible thing, which is completely intangible, like the internet. So how would you explain phones to someone 100 years back? Or
how would you? That's
right, because so that's like us looking at pyramids. It's like the internet, the thing that was the function isn't there. So this doesn't make sense for you right now because it's a different time period of extension. But it's for sure, I think the chip's going to be the extreme people who want to do like the cosmetic surgery and the cost that goes with that and everything. But the next step is the Google glasses to get these out of our hands. Like other than the camera, they'll connect to your retina eventually, like without having to do surgery. I'm sure it's going to be like a slower, more consumer-based progression that eventually does entirely lead us to merging with technology on a consistent basis. We already are.
We really already are. But what do you say to people that are scared of that iRobot type of situation? You guys have seen the movie iRobot?
It's already too late. Like there's nothing to be scared of.
We're screwed, like pretty much. You're saying. I'm not going to use the word screwed, but no, I think that's not the word.
I think that we need to stop being victims about this like blessing that is a fucking tool. Technology that's a tool. Like it's like water. I'm drowning. Fuck water. I'm thirsty. I love water. Make up your mind. 1 second, 1 second you're ordering Uber Eats with a credit card that you applied for online on your smartphone. Fuck off. Like I am a conspiracy theorist in the classic sense, but that's not one that I really get down with. Right. I'm not scared of technology.
Winnie, what were you saying?
I think that people are afraid of change in general, and that's why
100%.
we see our elders very stuck in their ways because what they did worked for them because they've lived their life now. So of course it did because
story of the fucking times, man. Times are changing.
So I think that like if we constantly remind ourselves as we age and as we grow older to continue to stay open-minded and to listen to young people and not look at them like they know less, to empower young people in a way that they already have the answers. And if we match young people's answers with older people's resources, like
or wisdom,
and wisdom, I mean, that seems unstoppable to me, but it's as people age, they get stuck. And I think that's for a bunch of reasons. I think there's limitations on aging. I think there's constructs around aging. I think people think that, with aging comes less.
Right.
And I just don't believe that. I think with aging comes so much more if you're willing to continue embracing the new. So like whatever, we might merge with robots and then it might not work out and we might have to figure something else out, but we're never going to know unless we try.
That is true. That is 100% true.
And the scariest shit is that there's going to be casualties. I think that's what we're seeing even now is that's what we're most afraid of. So maybe what we really need to start talking about is death and how it's not really death and how we need to start becoming more comfortable with the concept of death and like not pigeonholing death into this like bad, scary thing. But like just start thinking about it differently so we can get over this intense fear. Is death ever going to be fun? I don't know. I haven't had it yet. I'm not sure. But like, I think it potentially could be. It potentially couldn't be. But like this idea is
how you go out.
And like to be sad when someone to be sad and mourn when someone dies is okay. Like
Right.
We're allowed to take time. We've shoveled
Yeah.
everything and compacted everything as tiny as we can get it. So like take time, mourn your loved ones, feel like we have this beautiful ability to feel how much pain it is feeling for you in that moment. And like you transcend that in a way once you start accepting what's actually happening inside of you.
Yeah.
And it's just fear. Like when people are scared and they're honest about being scared, they get over their fear a lot faster than people who are scared and are lashing out to other people to fix why they're scared.
Bars, homie.
Yep.
So, tell me real quick a little bit about your new venture into animation and stuff and how that has been, because we are a big fan of discipline. We are disciplined stoners. It's in the title.
Yeah.
So I highly commend you for diving into what I would consider one of the most technologically advanced ways of thinking, design, and then the motion of it, motion graphics. Talk about getting into that and starting from scratch in that.
Oh man, I love talking about this stuff. I mean, like animation and honestly being able to draw has always been something that I wanted to do, but my brain works better in 3D is what I've realized from doing this. So I'm able to conceptualize shapes better in 3D. So, and it just kind of, when I started to learn more about Blender as a software that I'm using for animation, and I've always loved animation too. Like I mean, cartoons we saw growing up, Lion King, all these stories are stories that can only be told in that way. You can try, they can try and do a live action, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agree so hard on that.
It's just not the same. And they tried, and kudos to them trying. But I think even for me as a performer too, and the reason I started doing animation was because there were a lot of stories. Ultimately, I'm a storyteller, whether that's on stage or whether that's in film. I just want to tell stories. And there's certain stories that I realized years ago that I can't tell on stage, and I need to tell in animation in a way. Like some things I can film, but I also don't really always like when they mix CGI with film. Sometimes it just doesn't merge well together. You can't suspend disbelief enough, you know. So it's, for me, it's either it's all the way animation, or it's all the way we're doing this practically. We're doing this Christopher Nolan style, and there's no CGI in here. It's just all practical stuff.
Nice.
So like the journey of starting animation or starting learning to do 3D stuff was kind of when, honestly, the pandemic started. Before the pandemic started, I kind of got it into my mind that I was ready for the next stage in whatever I'm going to learn. I felt like I learned a lot about film. I learned a lot about writing. I learned a lot about theater. I learned a lot about performance. I learned a lot about storytelling, but it really just kind of felt like the 3D aspect of things was going to be a way for me to better conceptualize these characters I had in my head, because it was hard. I couldn't just like, there were some characters I wanted to create that, you know, I would have to get a makeup artist to do it, or I'd have to get a makeup artist to make the person look like that. You know what I mean? But when I started to learn more about 3D, I was like, oh, I could actually just create the character the way I want it to be.
You're vividly manifesting. You're literally doing the practice of drawing ideas from the ether into your scope. You're the filter that refines exactly how they look.
Literally. And exactly what you just said. In 3D, if I show you my 3D software, anytime I'm sculpting something, it always starts with a sphere. So it's always just a blank circle. And then you can go in there and figure and start pulling things. And then again, you discover the character as you're creating it. And that to me is very challenging. And I like the challenge of that, because a lot of times I see things and it's like, I honestly, when I'm sitting here, I'm like, I hate the way this looks right now. Like I absolutely hate it. And then
it starts to make decisions.
Yes. And then it forces me in my mind to understand, to remember that,
don't do that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. It's how it is with mixing. It's how it is with mixing. Don't do that. Don't do that. It sounds like shit. Don't do that. Fix that. Don't do it again.
Yeah, but
Don't make that mistake.
It's also a thing of, even though it sounds like shit or it looks like shit, keep going. Don't stop.
It
keep
helps
going.
you. You have to know what you don't want in order to know what you do want.
Exactly.
There's no other way to that.
It's literally always happened where I'll start a character and midway through it looks like crap. Absolute trash. The proportion is the proportions are off, like the eyes don't look good, the shoulder is off, like
do you feel
the body.
Discouraged when that happens?
100%, but only for a moment. And then that's the moment where I'm like, okay, pull your big boy pants together. How much do you really want this? Right? Like, this is your moment to prove to yourself, literally.
Yes.
Just to prove to yourself and just keep it moving. And I kid you not, every single time I've done that, something good has come from it. Where it's like, all right, I'm able to finish this character, or I'm able to finish this scene. And the world of 3D and the world of animation is so vast, so big. There's so many parts of it, so many aspects. It's fucking mind blowing.
You'll never get bored.
You never get bored. And there's endless, literally limited pot. You can create anything. It only depends on how much, like, well, for one, it I guess this is one that I'll wrap up what I'm saying here, because I can talk about this forever. But like, it inspired me to also, I guess, appreciate when you watch a Disney film, or when you watch like any of these animations, and then you realize how long it took them. I think I might have spoke to you guys about this before, but how long it takes them to render a frame or something like that, and just the level of work that goes into it. But call me a masochist, but I enjoy the masochist is when you like
something that gives you pain.
Yeah. But for this, for specifically for this, it's like I'm willing to go through the pain of not knowing what the fuck I'm doing. Like, literally don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah. And a lot of times my computer would crash on me, it'd freeze on me, all kinds of logistical things that have happened to discourage me. And every single moment, it's just like, all right, this is your moment to see if you really want this or not. And then I have to consistently say yes. Be like, all right, fine, fuck, bring it on. Let's keep it moving.
What's that time period?
Time period for what?
Between feeling discouraged and getting back on the horse.
Well, the discouragement is pretty much always on my shoulder. The feeling discouraged, I don't think ever really leaves, to be honest with you. It's kind of always there. But what I'm realizing is that the more I refine my skills, the more I understand about anatomy. And again, if I'm with you guys in person and I'm looking at your faces weird, I have to kind of tell people this now. I'm just studying the face and where things go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like knowing anatomy and knowing how expressions work, and knowing that the human face can express so much expressions with doing the smallest things, and can relay so much of a message from doing that. And I know this from theater, and I know this from film already, but now to see it in 3D and to know that I'm creating those expressions, it's a different type of feeling.
That's beautiful, like creative power, like that. Master artist, beautiful. And yeah, I definitely identify with that grit, that like addiction to like, fuck it though. It's like, keep swinging and it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have to
do
podcast.
Were you going to say something, Winnie?
Yes, I wanted to ask you how long it took before you, because you haven't been doing it for very long.
No, I haven't. I only started when pandemic started.
So how many hours a week do you do this?
Oh man, like a day? I probably, if I had the day to put into it, I put in a good 10 hours, 10, 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just go in. And if I'm working on a specific sculpt, and again, a sculpt could, and I mean, I'll watch people that have been doing it for a long time, and when they're sculpting something, they're able to do it in like
Isn't it so fun? It's so fun to watch someone. That's what it was like for me to watch like really cool producers, or like working with Carl, or someone who's just like really done it a bunch. It's like, whoa, the way they just snapped that together and built that beat, and then we laid the vocals and it was done. And I was like, and then when you can see that, it's like a master, just like operator, and then you're able to tune into that frequency. It's like you're able to kind of become your own version of that character in your own way and use your own processes. You're like, fuck, I'm gonna do it like this though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I start to figure out my own language in the software, like how I want my characters to look. And like you still have to understand the anatomy, but then understand that your job is to break those rules. Discipline.
Stoners! We get high. And we do stuff.
Yeah, I was asking you how many hours you like have how many hours you put in weekly, I guess.
All right, yeah. I would definitely say I put a lot of time into it, but I was gonna say something to that as well, actually. Funny story with it too, and this is just a story. It's just about like in terms of the creative process and being okay with just. Anyways, when I first started doing 3D and I posted something, I did this character that took me hours and hours to do. It took me a long time to do it. Then I posted something, and then somebody made a comment on Instagram, and the comment wasn't. I even forget what the person said, but it was almost like to them they felt like what I did only took like 2 hours or something like that. And there was a downplaying of essentially what it was. And I took a little bit of offense to it because this is still kind of like a newer art form. And I found myself taking offense to that. But I actually had to take it in and just kind of be like, oh, like, but you know, if you put something on a social platform, first of all, people that are going to comment on it are exercising their right to say what they're going to say about what you're posting, right?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to say those things. Like these are things that you're
it's part of the process. It's only going to help you.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
But just things like that are always very humbling to me. They didn't even say that they didn't like it because I just mistook what they said because I was defensive. You know, they were saying something in a joke.
You're vulnerable.
And I
this is a new thing that you're putting out for the first time, and you haven't been doing it for very long.
Yeah, and I got pretty defensive.
Dude,
I got comically defensive about it.
Yeah, I get defensive. Like I'll share my jokes with Ev sometimes, and it's interesting because if you just read a joke or even try to perform it for one person, like as you're working it out, it's like it's not that funny. So his reaction is always very honest, and he's like always he's like, "There's something there." It's never like that was a piece of shit question, like, but it hurts.
I treat her like I'm the coach trainer for a star boxer kid who's like just gonna go crush it. So I'm like, yeah, good, you got something brilliant. Let's start there. When you came in, and I'll say, but now I've learned to shit sandwich, which is you give a compliment, you start with a compliment, then you sneak in. But this might be adjusted. But by the way, this was really good too. And having them be legitimate points.
I react so well to a shit sandwich. Anyone who ever needs to give me any advice, shit sandwich it.
I think we all do though. Like for sure. I learned about that a while ago, like when we did the R.I.S.E training and stuff like that. But it's just whenever you're telling somebody something, and you get it. That's what it's just constructive criticism, really. Like you're showing up, you're not trying to down what they're saying, but what they're doing.
You're not trying to attack any part of them. You're trying to just like, and it forces you as the person giving the critique, it forces you to really say, what do I need to say? Like, am I yanking shit that I just happen to know? Like if check yourself if you're talking over someone's head, even at that point, and give them very concise feedback in the way that they can handle at that moment, like you know, plastering.
It needs to be digestible, otherwise what?
It does.
Just one thing. Just choose one thing. That's why the shit sandwich is good. Even use double stack Big Mac style. Throw the extra butt in there for the shit stack. So with a compliment, something you can work on. Compliment.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of happens already naturally because people are like, you always say like, good job. This is what you did right. And then you also end with like, and here's another thing you did right and another good job in there. So you kind of
some people don't do
that already.
Some people don't do that. A lot of people that asked my mother never did that. That was never a thing that I grew up with.
Fair.
It's like
It takes
this thing you did
time.
here is shitty, and that's all it is.
Oh man, what's your relationship with your mom been in that way with developing your art and stuff?
I mean, it's been interesting because we speak different languages, right? It's different generations. So like, I just had to kind of understand that and just know that I think as I get older, you realize the beauty of it because she's just speaking from a different perspective, which is a valid perspective. But me as a creative and us as artists, it's kind of our responsibility to hear all these perspectives. Like it's part of it comes with our job.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
that
just
feels
kind of
so
like,
much better because you can release your hold to your structure and just be creative and say, "Oh, let's just visit another fantasy land where this is someone's
right,
perspective and just take a look and,
right.
instead of condemning it." I love that.
Exactly. It's
I
just
love that.
opinions. It's what she thinks, and I can honestly, and I've come now to see everyone as a character. Everyone is a character in my movie, right? And
Yeah.
I'm a character in everyone's movie too. And the one thing you can do to kill a character is to not allow them to say anything, to stifle their belief systems. They don't get a chance to evolve. They don't get a chance to do any of that stuff. So like, and I try to see my life like that too. Like my mom is like a character in my in this story. In a lot of ways, she informs my personal writing because I take her I'm like, what if I did? There was a point where I was like, Mom, I don't like the tone you say things in, until I realized that tone she says things in is what makes her who she is. It's literally part of who she is. So it's either my opportunity, it's either my job as an artist to, I can either go two ways. I can condemn it and try and change that to suit my needs and to make me feel better about whatever it is she's saying. Or I can take in what she's saying and be like, huh, this could be a cool character trait for a character in a show in my story or something like that. Like that's an interesting character trait, you know. and
That's
when I
powerful.
started to see things like that, when I started to see people like that, it made it be like, oh, like everyone is, you know, even the most bitter people, there's still an interesting thing to them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
well, the villains drive the movies. Like there wouldn't be protagonists without them.
Exactly. Facts only. And we all have those villains, like those villains in our own personal stories that are like, and we're always trying to kill them. But it's kind of like Batman to the Joker. Like Joker needs Batman, and Batman in a sense needs Joker because they just kind of, I can't see Batman without Joker. It's just not a thing.
Well,
It's
they
balanced.
continue to give each other purpose.
Exactly. So I think it's just, and I kind of see that as a general way of seeing the world, and where we as a human species, I think one of the ways we've gone wrong is that we're trying to, you know, just make everyone think like we do, you know.
Yeah.
And we're a lot of us don't know how to deal with opposition when someone has a different idea from yours.
I feel like Canadians even specifically.
For real.
Well, I think what I was saying to Win is like this challenge of these separate sides of how people feel about things recently in the world is a great opportunity for software upgrading.
100%. Well said.
Thank you. Yeah, you are taking the opportunity to meet the challenge of what this new world of understanding is going to ask of you, and it is more sensitive, and it is listening to more perspectives, and it is not negating something just because it doesn't show up in your experience. Like you're talking to a straight white guy. You know what I mean? Like it's like you have to fucking make the choice to like look around and get like informed, especially if shit doesn't like really affect you, but it is all in the name of actually being free yourself together with everyone, and listening and staying connected is definitely part of it.
So for you guys too, like I think I asked you guys this before, like in terms of your communication as a couple, how that's developed over the years. How do you feel like that's like developed over the years?
I mean, I think that we've probably talked about this before, but we definitely trauma bonded when we first got together, and we were filling holes in ourselves with what the other person provided. So I was, I needed more spontaneity. This is at like a PG level,
right?
but
Yeah, for
I
sure.
needed more spontaneity and he needed more grounding. And we didn't decide to develop that in ourselves. We just got it from each other.
Gotcha.
In terms of our relationship, it's structured like we're two individual pillars, like that hold up their own frequency. We're not always on the same team, although we're so similar to us when you look at like the rest of the world perceivably. Which, by the way, all these characters we speak of in our life and all these things we perceive are just reflections of your own thoughts and your experiences that you're attracting
100%.
to yourself. So
I'm still here. I'm just putting my lights on.
That's all good.
I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I just wanted to like ground the basis of every experience you have is just a reflection of like where you're at. And we've been together for 12 years. 12 and a half years. And we spent the first half of that, what I would call unaware. Like we were not aware of the fact that we create our reality yet. Like I only read Think and Grow Rich and started to meditate or toy with the idea of doing any sort of inward work and actually healing insecurities instead of working really hard for the results so you could get validation. Like
we thought the answer was outside of us.
Right.
So it was only about 5 years ago, maybe, that we like clicked into the fact that like, you have to do self-work and it's a practice. It's not a state you get to and everything's fine. Like,
but you guys went through the mucky part. What made you still say yes? Like what made you say okay?
That's such a nice question.
and we've also talked about this privately before. It's always just been like a tether that we can't really, there's no reason. There's
as soon
no reason
as
for it.
like seen her, I feel like I remembered her. It's like we have like, hunches about like knowing each other in other lives and
and like we had pretty spiritual experiences prior to like what we would call our awakening. Like I remember in the early days, like looking at you at like the shittiest restaurant that we went to. And
we used to go to these little shitholes and just get a kick out of it because we were broken in our early 20s, but it was just fun. We would go and check out characters like you were saying, the waitress that Night and Day in Burnaby.
We thought it was an alternative universe, so that's why we had fun going there, because it was just like these waiters and the cooks, like the hosts.
They were out the 70s, bro. Like the place had carpets and like one of those machines where you put a quarter in and try and get a ticket.
That's crazy.
Like they had like just straight up shit like the goldfish tank and the smell of like carpet, and like it was just bizarre. It was this restaurant called Night and Day, so we've always made the best of it like that too.
But even in that, like I remember we used to do a lot of, we still do like eye gazing. And like we hadn't been together for very long, and we were looking in each other's eyes so deeply that I started crying. I think you almost started crying.
My eyes water when I have spiritual experiences, like for real, like because I'm happy to say I'm proud to cry. Like
100%. It's a beautiful thing.
You think, exactly. But like my eyes literally swell up. It's just like a trigger that like I'm really in sync right now. That like But so even then,
there's been moments where it was just like you knew so deeply, because there's been, for both of us, there's been moments where we're like, fuck this, like this doesn't feel like it's going to work. Like I don't see the path that this is working.
And we were long distance for a year when I first moved to Toronto.
We just we kept pushing until we got to this place, and like we're in the best place ever now.
Yeah, we are. Yo, it's honestly just like I like you.
And it's still evolving, ever evolving towards the best place. Like, I don't think that this is it. This isn't the best.
It's always getting better, because I know I'm not the best me yet. I'm the best me I can be right now. But every day my perspective clicks and get a little bit better. And it's like you literally do just like grow older. And also sometimes people think, be in a long-term relationship, only be with one person. motherfucking no. This one has been like 8 different people.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
over like last year. Like
yeah.
Like,
and that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it.
That was actually
like,
a turning point for me.
change.
Because I had heard that on a podcast with this woman, Esther something.
That's a Perel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the first one who told me, who was like, you're falling in love with a different person. Like you're having a different relationship. And I had been so attached to like, this isn't what I signed up for. Like, this isn't what we started as.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that I get like this new person,
yeah,
how many times? I don't know. Like you flipped a bunch of times too. And it's like every time. And we now recognize when we're going through that like stage of growth each way. And
there's a spurt.
We both really, instead of being like annoyed or irritated
or threatened,
scared or threatened. Yeah.
Because sometimes you think the other person is going to outgrow you. It's like, well, I guess that's what you need now.
That's a thing. That's definitely it.
Allowed to change and evolve. And in fact, you should encourage it. You should think about how you can facilitate how easily this person can go into their next phase of focus.
Right.
And just like, then you're not a member at their table. You're the table. You're like the thing that you discuss this next move with.
Yeah,
like,
I think we've just gotten to a place where we can like emotionally support one another and like embrace the changes that both of us go through on a daily basis right now.
Right.
Holy.
And being able to be vulnerable and open. That's been, because it's intense. It's intense at first to
really
speak
is,
from a place of vulnerability. But I mean, you and I, bro, had some wonderful, beautiful, honest conversation today. And like that inspires the shit out of me, because that's just like good living. That's just a way to live with a good open heart and flow with it. And like not hold on to stuff and just like speak from the heart and flow with it. And that's like the same, the way we've adapted. That's why I handle any capacity of relationship, whether it's like professional, personal, whatever, social, whatever. Like there's different capacities you're always operating on. But if you give the same respect to all of them, which is just kind of like a clean slate every time, of just like don't like get attached to anything, and just like feel like good about the idea of like right now, every time with them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because I think sometimes people feel this love at first and they're like, I want this forever. And it's like honeymoon stage is sweet, but it's spring, baby. And then summer gets hot and winter gets cold.
Yeah, man. So it's a short part of it's not the whole relationship. It's almost one of those things where you the more you do for each other, the more you earn those moments. And I use the word earn specifically because, if you're not willing to go through those trenches with your partner, you don't really earn their
and we also
when they win.
But we also had to create some boundaries, I think, as well. I stopped going out on New Year's Eve, and I would spend every New Year's Eve cleaning my place and like getting high and just like listening to music that I wanted. And he would go out and have a fucking blast. And
I'm 11, baby. Yeah. I'm 11 in these streets.
And I didn't realize how big of a difference that would make, me just honoring
and
my
I was truth. So fine with it. I was like, because I'm not going to like bounce on my friends who have invited us. And she's like, rock on. I'm legit not mad. Like I went out for 3 years until it went to the point where it was like, I kind of just want to do what Winnie's doing naturally. And now I look forward to kind of staying home with her anyway. But then,
I mean, that's probably some pandemic stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, last year and like whatever, the year before and next year. No, I'm just kidding.
But like I think we started being truer to ourselves and both of us honored that for one another. And like, that's just been the best thing, because then I'm not looking again for a result or an outcome from this person. Like this person is my partner, and like, and it just,
you're better off communicating where you want that person to invest their effort, because even if you're that person's like monogamous husband or wife, you're still only like 20 to 30% of that human being's life. They have a family, that's another 20%. They got to do a job, or they have, if they're rich, they still have a purpose. They do a thing in the day. And then you have your like friends and associates. Like you can't be front and
they
center
got their
all the
own
time.
alone time, their own like time away from all of that too.
Right? Hopefully.
Yeah.
You think hopefully.
Hopefully.
And that's good. I love that you said that. That's even a newer thing, taking responsibility for your own mental state by the time you give yourself, right? We love talking about that too. Fuck yeah. But you know, letting that person thrive with you the way they want to thrive with you, and like when you know that it's your turn to deliver some effort, whatever that may be, whatever that contribution is, I think it falls completely different for all people, because you're a universe inside of another human being.
And the more we started the more I started stopped complaining about him not doing dishes and just started doing the dishes myself, like taking time to do them myself. Like seriously though, the more that I just took responsibility of not being he's not being the thing that I want.
And we communicated about it. The reason why I stopped doing dishes is because I wasn't emotionally strong enough to not fall into negative thinking patterns when I did the dishes. Sounds like an excuse, but it's really what happens. Something gets triggered and I don't like it, but I'll offer to do the laundry or floors or something, some sort of compromise.
And since my shitty attitudes changed and I'm not blaming,
I've been grateful.
Pick up more stuff. The more that we do for each other, the more that we are constantly doing for each other, and that's just exciting and
so
fun.
Contribute. Don't have the expectation
it's not
that you have to do
it's
this.
100%, 100%.
Bars.
Sometimes it's 80%, 20%, but
that's fine.
Take care of
sometimes it's 95 and 5%. Like sometimes she's so tired, I am like the maid, I'll cook and bring it to her to sweep, but it's just right now she's tapped out. So hop, as you said, when it's time, it gets tough for a moment, now's the time to score, baby. Do it, bring this home, be the champion right now. And that does take confidence, but
and
then you
we
can
both find love language in that too. We've been making each other cappuccinos instead of making ourselves cappuccinos. I'll make one for him and he'll make one for me, and it's just we're still both making one. We're not doing any more work, you know what I mean? But it's just we both appreciate it so much.
It's really fun, bro. What has your experience been with finding compatibility and partnerships and stuff like that?
I think I mean mine has been pretty interesting. It's been it's had its major ups and then it's had its downs. I mean, of course, that goes without saying. But what would I say the best way to explain it would be? Because I mean, I think initially I was dating somebody that you probably know, Ellevan. I think you probably know who. But this was I'm not gonna name them just because it's just to kind of keep their identity or whatever. But this was a couple of years ago, and that was it was a great relationship, but it was kind of like what you guys said, where it was like a trauma bonding in a way. But it was still beautiful for what it was, and then we dated for a while. Went through a lot of ups and downs together. In that relationship, I was extremely, what's the word? I was extremely motivated to make it work. But then after a while, I started to kind of give up, right? And I think sometimes you just have to know when it's time to let it go. And sometimes you have to know that, okay, this person's worth fighting through this whole thing with and everything. But I think because of that relationship, to make a long story short, I kind of after that ended, I think because I gave so much of myself to it, I wanted to be a little bit more selfish, right? And I mean, I still had relationships even after that were amazing, but I always felt like I wasn't always willing to give all of myself to anyone. So
you think that's wise? I think that's wise.
Yeah, it is. But I think I was keeping crucial parts that I should actually
So,
be given to
oh,
as a
when you
person.
say give, you're gonna mean like reveal.
Yeah, but like I guess allow them in emotionally, right? I
Yeah.
wasn't willing to allow
You had
anyone really
blocked
in
yourself
emotionally.
off from
Exactly.
not experiencing what you have previously experienced that wasn't
Right.
Oh,
the
you're trying to
best
protect your heart.
sensation.
Exactly. I was
Right.
definitely trying to protect that.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
but that's not the key. That's not the key, bro. It was
But
like,
you know, but it was kind of like it was obviously a defense mechanism, and it was a reaction that I was
mhm,
having that took me a while to
identify.
it's not something you can, yeah, it's not something you can just snap out of right away.
Yeah.
It's maybe even something, even when you're aware of it, it still takes time to rewire your brain and rewire your
Bro,
reactions to things.
this
Yeah.
exactly, as I don't know if I told you, the name of my next book is Awareness versus Implementation. And I think it's
Right.
so fascinating that
Right.
we constantly become aware of something and claim it through the idealism as though it would be nice. And then we think that we have an association with this thing because we consider ourselves to have considered it. And
Right.
then we actually dive into the practice of what it takes to equate to the result of this.
Mhm.
And it's challenging
It's very
and
hard. It's
it's very
extremely hard.
hard. And so, there's a human beauty to giving up sometimes, but like you totally gotta take it
And
on the chin.
to even bring it back to like 3D and why I'm so more knowing that I can't give up even when it gets hard is those things inform my relationship to my crafts, right?
Mm,
That because it transcends to anything, relationships,
Mm.
the craft that you really love. It'd be
yep.
a thing that you hate in some moments and you want to give up on it. But it's just that reminder that, yeah, if I give up on you, I don't earn the victory.
Yeah.
I only
And
earn the victory when I don't give up, even when it's hard.
I love that. And you realize
Yeah.
that like I would only feel a way if I cared.
Right. Exactly.
I only
Exactly.
feel like fuck, I gotta give this up because it's like
Yeah.
if it was time to give up, kind of as you said about some relationships, you gotta let them go. Like if you're
Yeah.
like, I don't care, like it's like in high school, it's like you can't be on the volleyball team.
Cool.
Cool. It's like that's fine, but you're only really upset because you think you might have to let this thing go that you really do love. So you can
Yeah.
always just tap into that. Be like,
Yeah.
what do I really love about this? What do I get to do? How do I get to express myself? How does this person
Yeah.
smell?
Yeah. Yeah. But I definitely open myself up to it now. I'm still like, obviously talking to someone and just kind of just allowing it to go where it needs to go. But I
Nice.
think obviously in relationships, like you develop a sense of confidence too, because um, sometimes you have to, I don't want to say defend yourself against them, but like just remember yourself in a sense, but remember yourself and still create space for them to be with you, like create space for you two to be together.
You got to evolve with enough boundary to remain the same identity that makes you comfortable in life and brings you happiness while also
Right.
creating not only physical time and space interactions with this human being and the effort and thought that goes into that, but also literally compensate for the balance from the holistic point of view from what your life used to be to now introducing this
Right.
new
Right. Right.
component into your
Exactly.
life.
Yeah.
This is, if you look at it
Exactly.
pragmatically, like, do you know, like, businesses don't operate like that? You can't just take on a new product out of nowhere. It's like fucking Loblaw sells cars now.
Yes.
What? I guess they,
Yes.
but
Yeah,
like,
Where did that begin?
we've also said, like, even though we are in the practice of monogamy, like, it doesn't make sense.
no, monogamy
Like,
doesn't make sense.
it's
And we're not like emotionally. I always talk about the difference, like physically monogamous, but mentally, emotionally, totally polygamous because you have friends that provide fulfillment in that way.
Yes. In
And
different
you're
ways.
not
Yep.
crossing the physical sexual boundary, but you're
Yep.
getting some sort of companionship on friendships, on business relationships. Your purpose is feeling fulfilled. You are creating desires with other people. You are having agreements with other people. It's entirely not reflective to what we try and fit relationships into, and especially right off the bat, like change now for me this way. You know, first of all, don't look at anyone else. You know what I mean? Like it's not natural.
It's impossible. That's such a. I mean, that's.
So it takes work. Is I think it's the same. Like you're never going to stop working on yourself. You're never going to stop working at your relationship because that's the most likely the person that you spend the most time with and have to like coexist with
and drop the ego bullshit. I remember early days thinking I'm supposed to know all these things about her or else I'm not a good
I used to think that too. You gotta know everything about your partner or somebody else will and you can't.
You still exactly. I mean? Or they'll be able to sense that out or know that about her and that will mean something to her and it's like
you're
always growing though. You're always growing. So like you can think about that or be part of tomorrow, like create tomorrow. And then also just be honest if someone needs to manifest and express in a different form. Like when you take different shapes, like Winnie gets actory around her actor friends and I call her out for it and I'm such a dick, but I get rappery around my rapper friends.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
It's, you know, all of a sudden
but,
she's like...
it does feel like you guys have been able to really create a good balance with each other, like a good
and I will say like cannabis has helped in the way that like if something that like because the triggers still happen, right? Like if he does or says something and I'm off that day or I'm not totally in tune with my own source, like that the trigger is still there where for a minute I'm like fuck you, but then but then cannabis like comes in and is like he didn't mean anything by it. Like, you good? And I'm like, I'm good.
Thank you, cannabis. I love you. I love it.
And we'll just roll you on, baby. We'll get back on track. Don't even worry about it.
And I'm always rolling nice joints. And that's it. You just got to keep doing nice things.
You do. You should. You should.
I want to. I want to do nice things for you.
Yeah, you should definitely.
And if you don't want to, there's some communication that needs to be implemented into your relationship because it's the best thing. It's the best thing talking it out.
Don't hold anything back.
Right. I'm sure anyone listens to this will get some good gems off of these.
Yeah, words. Thanks for flipping the script and asking us. It was not happened yet. You're a natural co-host, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I mean, I find joy in learning how other people operate and how they deal with these things too. These everyday things, man. These like relationships and shit. All these pillars of life that we weren't necessarily taught how to do. In the places we're supposed to be taught how to do it. So.
And I mean, that's the story of life as an entrepreneur as well. Just constantly pivoting, constantly navigating freelance opportunities, constantly working in different capacities on different projects. And it's knowing how to expand and shrink and adapt. And that feels good. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So where's your animation and stuff in terms of like service ready? Are you accepting clients now? How can people get at you? No, not yet.
Not accepting clients yet.
That'll be on your website and stuff?
For sure. Like I think I'm giving myself at least another year to really just be in the gym, Just be in the gym.
Nice.
Just do as much of that. I mean, people have hit me up for it. And I've been like, all right, I'll take you on. I'm not going to charge you for it. Just know this is me training. So,
Dope.
But with that, there's again,
that's a really good attitude to have.
Yeah.
In Clubhouse, the NFT groups, and they had like a lot of people who've done very well in creative freelance and stuff. And a lot of friends I know. Like that's been the winning attitude to like really sharpen your blade.
Yeah, man.
To like get it in. That's so good that you're even like, nah, but wait.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's gonna happen. Like I have the utmost confidence that in a year or so, We'll be making some shit. It's gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that.
But you do videography and drone stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean that stuff, and that's the beauty of again when I started to be when I was like, all right, I'm going to be an artist. It's like I can't just be one kind of artist and expect to make my money off of just one specific craft.
That's good to take the pressure off it, man. I was not wise that way.
Yeah, man. But it was like I realized that I had to learn different things in this craft that they can all still work together. Animation can still work with my writing. It can still work with storytelling. It can still work with videography. All these things can still go together.
And you put that on your website. So I love the cool. Discipline aspect of being an artist, because on Instagram sometimes I'll get hit up or whatever for like mini guidance pockets of like, how do you get out there and like push your art and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like you have to meet the feminine creative flow with the masculine structured,
pretty much
how to plug into the economy. How has your web been, your discipline of like acquisition, if you will, as an artist? How has that blended? Because that's a battle within too sometimes.
Good question. I mean, like that, I honestly for the videography stuff, because I've been doing it for so long, that's kind of on autopilot now. People just hit me up, even if I don't post things or whatever. I've built over 10 years or 11 years or something, a list of clients that trust me enough to just, I know that we always kind of work together.
You're in the referral game.
Develop. Exactly. Yeah. But like,
so you get in a couple of Rolodexes.
Yeah, man. And these people have been able to pay my bills and help me be able to pay my rent and do all the things that I need to do. Which has been great.
I love that smile, that artist smile. For those of you listening on just audio, he just cracked the most beautiful smile that I know how it feels. Like, yes. So when you fulfill a purpose in a multifaceted way with something that you feel purposefully connected to, creating, and you're just like, there's an accomplishment there that it doesn't matter if it was 5,500 or $5. It's like you make that first money with your art, and you're like,
feels great. It's fantastic. But I know now that the next steps, especially because I'm learning all these different things, ultimately is to have a production company where I can give all these services, whether it's a one-stop shop for animation, film, writing, if you need to write scripts for the thing that you're trying to do or whatever. But this obviously comes with meeting people that I know people already that I'm going to start the production company with that are good in different areas.
Yeah.
But my thing also has always been, I love teaching. I love teaching this stuff. So I've been teaching, doing workshops and stuff like that for it, which is also a great way to make money.
I was going to find and also you can find sharp younger cats that you can teach and make part of different departments in your production company.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Fish for talent as you teach. I do say, come on.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Do you have a name for your agency yet?
Me and my partner, we're playing with Obsidian, but his wife came up with that.
That's cool.
So I mean, we're still gonna, at this point, we're both still just sharpening our skills. So I think that's just the important thing: sharpen our skills, meet the right people, and then just eventually that'll come about,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Disciplined Stoners podcast. I am wealth affirmations to 555 frequency. Enjoy. I affirm my abundance. I affirm my power. I accept that I am a creative center. I accept that I have the power to create. I affirm that I love my life. I affirm that I create my reality. I'm grateful to be here. I focus on what I want.
I got some stuff. I want to read something, and I'd like you to call the number.
Cool.
Lynn, could you pass me the power of awareness?
And, okay, yeah, I got you.
So yeah. I'll just ask you to like say a number in a minute, but first I want to play a speed round with you.
Cool.
Okay, so just like answer real quick, and I just got a couple questions. You ready?
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Favorite movie moment?
Oh, favorite movie moment. Oh, that's a hard one.
As quick as you can.
Just broke my brain.
I can't think of one either. I'm
going
trying.
Going to see Avatar in 3D. Oh my god, I can't even believe that. No, that's so little. I can't.
Like a moment in a movie.
Oh, holy smokes, Ellevan, that's even harder.
Okay,
I got one.
Okay, what's yours?
That scene in Step Brothers where Will Ferrell's sitting in the back of the car and his mom's in the front, and the whole scene about
not even if there's a fire.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Step Brothers.
Not gonna call him dad. He's 40 years old.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
You
it's
should watch
so
it, bro.
Funny.
It's really good.
Oh, you know what? I would say one of my memorable scenes is a movie called Apocalypto. I don't know if you've ever seen Apocalypto. It's a Mel Gibson movie with these like native people or whatever. And there's a part in the beginning where you see the scene with these natives. They're trying to they just cut a pig, and then usually they distribute the body parts to each of the other warriors in the sense that caught this pig, and they were making fun of this one big guy, and they gave him the balls of the pig, but they made it sound like the balls of the pig were this great thing, but it just tricked them to eat the balls of the pig. But the way they did it was just so like innocent but mischievous at the same time. It was such a great balance. So I think that's one of my favorite. There's so many, and I feel like I'm underplaying this, but that's the one that comes to mind. Keep it in the go. Yes.
That's a good one.
Beautiful description too. Yeah. Thank you. Favorite rap song from the 90s?
Oh. Favorite rap song from the 90s. Yikes.
So most Biggie or Tupac?
Yeah, that's kind of one, but also some DMX too. DMX had a lot of really I think what these bitches want got me really amped a lot of times.
Yo, that was
some early Jay in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jay is a Reasonable Doubt. Was Reasonable Doubt in the 90s?
Yeah,
that was in the 90s, right?
It
yeah,
was.
Yeah. So New York rap you listen to?
Yeah. I would say my
favorite rap song of DMX. What these bitches want? Or what did you just say? What did you just say?
What these bitches want. Yeah. You know that song?
Oh yeah, for sure. I had that album too. I remember my favorite song from there was I got blood on my hands, there's no remorse. I got blood on my dick because I fucked a corpse.
he was a wild
nasty. Yo, he was
a pretty wild guy.
Yeah,
he said some wild shit.
He went around like battling people, so he like Eminem and D12 got that kind of flavor for shock value entertainment. Say that shit. Like the bottom was like, so just rob him. Like, you know what I mean? Like the peak of his violence was like vividly comical almost.
Yo, I actually think that's where I got some of my, even when I'm writing, some of the shock value thing, because these guys used to say some shocking shit on some of these songs.
It would make you feel.
Yeah, it made you feel something. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely for sure.
All right, so favorite rap song from the 2000s?
Just when Kanye started to be hot, right?
Yeah. Or, so I mean, you know, Dre, Chronic 2001 is 2001.
Yeah, Dre, but I think in that time I was more Kanye than anything.
Awesome.
And Kendrick, actually, what am I saying? Kanye. Kendrick was a big
in 2000s, like in 2008, like you listened to Section 8 and shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, word. You're in.
Oh yeah. From the moment when Section 8 came out, I was on that ASAP.
And Cloud 9, and then his
and I was listening to even Ab-Soul too, the whole TDE.
Nice.
When they started coming out of their thing, I was definitely listening to them a lot. Yeah.
So that's some West Coast. Okay, sick. Favorite sandwich?
Yo, Ellevan, was it you that took me to Bommy Boys?
Yes.
Guy.
My dude.
Get the chicken bow. What'd you get?
Yeah, I got, but I got they had this wrap. It's like a grilled chicken wrap or something like that.
The taco. Yeah, the taco.
Yes. What's the name of the bread that they use?
Bao.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
yes,
the grilled chicken bao. I think that's what we got when we were there, right?
That
we pulled up.
Yeah, is fucking incredible.
Shout out Bomney Boys,
good.
Not paid ad, just genuine. You see, I
Just
brought the
genuine
homie
love.
there. I know it's the favorite one. Same, bro, because fucking that's what I talk about coming back to Toronto. I get my fucking squid. I'm gonna order it.
Oh, the squid, that's
the
right.
Squid is so good.
I just remember the taste just went through my mouth right now.
Squid taco is so good.
Their fried chicken bao though is like
good too, eh? Yeah. It's problematic.
I'm gonna Uber Eats right now.
I'm done.
Okay, all right. So should I lead this?
Please say a number between 41 and 97.
69.
Okay.
I know, right?
Good work. Good number. Chapter 21, Free Will.
Amazing. Okay, let's hear it.
The question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. It is a delusion that, other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. You think that you can do something. You want to do something, but actually you can do nothing. The illusion of the free will to do, but is ignorance of the law of assumption upon which all action is based. Everything happens automatically. All that befalls you, all that is done by you, happens. Your assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to their fulfillment. To understand the law of assumption, to be convinced of its truth, means getting rid of all the illusions about free will to act. Free will actually means freedom to select any idea you desire. By assuming the idea already to be a fact, it is converted into reality. Beyond that, free will ends, and everything happens in harmony with the concept assumed. I can of mine own self do nothing, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. John 5:30.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the flow.
Wow.
That's your skeleton, and then you move through.
Pretty much.
The skeleton.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well said. Wow.
That was so beautiful.
It's crazy how that works, how that just goes on to exactly what you need to hear. That's actually pretty crazy.
It's every time.
Every time.
Yeah, that's actually wild.
It's never off.
It's so good. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us.
Man.
It was just incredible.
Dope.
What a beautiful conversation.
And this is hella dope.
I know like a lot of our listeners are artists themselves, or people even looking to expand their kind of disciplines in many ways. To close her off, I'll leave the stage to you to pass along some advice. Anyone trying to, bring their dream of being a full-time artist into reality, or a full-time, operator, entrepreneur kind of. And yeah, just hit us with some words of wisdom that have helped you along the way, or if you wish you could talk to a younger you, how could you speed up the process?
Well, I mean, one of the things I would say for sure, especially in today's day and age, is that we're bombarded with everybody else's process and how things are happening for them. But that stuff is not really relative to you, because you are always your own person. So I'm always trying to remember that like my process is my process, and I honor that. I am definitely not going to slack on my process, because then that's my issue. But I'm going to honor the fact that I have my own process. And I think art and being a creative is an essential service that humans have always used as a way of evolution. The artists are the ones that usually say the things that help the rest of the population evolve. They're, in a sense, the ones that wake up in cold sweats and shit, and they just have so many things in their heads or in their hearts to say. And we're now in a time where there's a lot of platforms to where an artist can share what they're feeling and what they're thinking. So our problem now isn't the fact that we can have our voice heard. Our problem now is developing that voice and listening to ourselves and understanding what our own voice is outside of what everyone else is saying, because now everyone has a platform. So the thing now I would find, and one thing I would say to artists is just like, I think it's what we were saying earlier, not being afraid to fail and being okay, and just seeing your everyday life as your art, not just I'm a filmmaker. It's like the way I wake up is art. The way I go to sleep is art. The way I have conversation, the way I internalize things is art. It's all art. It's all meant to inform, and nothing should be discriminated. But all things should only be discriminated based on what you feel your vision is. If you feel something doesn't obviously promote your vision, then you don't have to look at it. But everything is art. Art is everything. And
beautifully said.
That's it feels like there's a lot that I could say with that, but ultimately everything is art, and you can find inspiration everywhere. So
that's
just fucking
dope.
Create.
Fuck yeah. And where can people find you?
Find me outside. I'm joking.
Hey, catch me outside.
Catch me outside.
I love that.
I mean, Instagram, Paul.ab.ohonsi. That's pretty much where I'm on right now. It's just on Instagram. So yeah, man. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, man. I'm gonna be back there to smoke one with y'all. So get that ready. You already know what it is.
You gotta try this gas.
Yeah. Love y'all, man. Much love.
Love you, bro.
We're just
peace, y'all.
Peace.
Discipline. Stoners! We get high.
And we do stuff.